Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Guide to Gothic series, the premier Gothic show on the internet. The best, the one and only. With me, as always, my co-host, Eric, from the Paperback Warrior.
Howdy.
And today we also have a special guest, our friend Chris from Liminal Spaces.
Yes.
Glad to be on, you guys. Finally made it to the coolest channel on BookTube.
I bet you say that to all the guys.
Not once.
Well, you are also on the coolest podcast on the podcast distributors, because if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching it on the Book Graveyard, and you're listening to it on a podcast, you're listening to the Paperback Warrior.
Well, this might be my first podcast then.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what's going on, fellas? Today we're talking Gothics.
Yeah, we're continuing our guide to Gothics, trying to find the best Gothic novel out there. We're searching high and low. Nick and I found a couple. We found a couple Gothics that are really, really good. We found a lot of stinkers. But Chris, do you have a lot of experience with Gothics?
No, I've read Daphne du Maurier. I don't know if you guys consider her a Gothic writer. And then, of course, like all the early, like Jane Eyre and all those kind of early Gothics. But no, not the 70s stuff. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think we mostly concentrate on the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s Gothics, which, sort of get lumped in with that trashy category of, trashy romance novels.
Shirley Jackson. I read a ton of Shirley Jackson. And I absolutely love her.
I think that's more. Nick, would you say it's more like Gothic horror? Maybe.
Yeah, I would consider that Gothic horror. I guess the distinction that we've started making in doing these episodes is that there is a Gothic suspense and then there's a Gothic horror. And they're kind of separate. I mean, I think that's our take so far.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because whenever I looked before, I realized that you can talk to people on the internet and there's people that share interests. I was kind of trying to create a history of horror in my own collection. And it was always strange to me that it would go Poe, Lovecraft, and then maybe mention Shirley Jackson and then jump all the way to Stephen King. And it seemed like there was an entire era of horror that was being ignored with these. So to me, they've always been very interesting. That's why the minute Nick started talking about him when he was doing the baggable Gothics and that kind of stuff, I was on board because I've just been so interested in this era.
It's called Is It Bag Worthy, and it's trademarked, Chris.
Oh, okay. See, that's why I didn't say it. I was afraid of getting sued.
Gotta be careful these days.
That's right.
Nick's in it for the money.
Nick's very litigious, I've heard.
All right, so we're always bragging that we're the only ones out here talking about this stuff. But since the last episode, we've run across a few kindred spirits out there. So I just wanted to share that. I wanted to share that there's a Facebook group. There's a Facebook group called Vintage Gothic and Romance Novels. And they post pictures of the covers, which is what you usually see like on Instagram. But I found that on this group that the people are actually talking about the content also. So people will talk about the reviews, or they'll give reviews, talk about the authors, other books they liked, etc. So I thought if anyone is out there listening and you got a Facebook account, you want to learn more, that's a great resource. And I will put a link for it down in the description.
Awesome. I have a Facebook. I'm going to go find it.
Speaking of which, one of the members of that group that always posts there, his name is Adrian Griffiths, and he also has a YouTube channel. And all he shows is Gothics, and it's a very amusing delivery. It's kind of he loves it, but he also will take jabs at it. It's pretty humorous. And I'll also put a link for his channel down in the description. And Eric, we found a book, and I believe you picked it up.
Yes, there is a book, which I wasn't aware of until you had mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago, by Lori Page. And the title of it is Gothic Romance Wave, a critical history of the mass market novels, and I think she's covering like 1960s through the 1990s, which is the peak of Gothic paperback craze. From what I can see, I've got the electronic version, so there's no artwork, but that's okay because sometimes I really want to get into the analysis of the genre, and I think she kind of takes a look at a deeper analysis at the novels, what the appeal of them really is in terms of mystery, suspense, romance, and then also the artwork. But like I said, there's no artwork in the electronic version. I'm not sure about the physical version of it, but it looks like it's going to be a great book. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my to be read pile this year.
Yeah, when I was looking that book up, the physical copies, I think they're out of print, so they're like $50, like right off the bat. And I believe that it was published in Europe. I think it's from the UK too. Yeah. So they're all over there, so you got to pay for that international shipping if you're over here in North America. So yeah, we haven't got there yet. I definitely want a copy, especially because of it's an in-depth, like you said, it's in-depth analysis of it, and it's not just pictures of the covers, which is beautiful. I mean, that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, sometimes I want to know more.
Sometimes I'm afraid that the artwork is more loved than the contents of the book on this in this genre.
Yeah.
We
run into that quite a bit. There's a couple of Facebook groups that I'm part of where you'll have these publishers like like Brash Books or Cutting Edge Books, where they'll come in and they'll put like 10, 15 books together in one huge ebook, and you're getting like 10, 15 books for like $10. But people complain about the album or the artwork being AI or something. I'm thinking, think about the content that you're getting. Right. I mean, you're getting 10, 15 vintage books. Like, oh, well, I wouldn't buy that because it has AI artwork. It's not about the artwork. It's about the contents, like what's inside that counts.
Right.
But people get hung up on artwork. And I get, like Nick said, I get it. They're pretty. Some of these Gothic art, covers are just amazing to look at. But you can, like you said, you can get that on Instagram, TikTok. You can get that from a lot of different sources. But the analysis, the commentary on the genre is what fascinates me.
Yeah, the paintings are incredible. I do miss the. I don't like new book covers as much as the old. No way.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense because they're not making any kind of money on printing books now. And back then, it was a major industry.
Yeah,
they could afford to pay for a real artist to paint stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if you do it, that's like 90% of your budget.
Yep, exactly.
It's tough out there. That's what I'm saying.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys ready to talk to the Dark Tower?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Behind me. Yeah.
All right, so To the Dark Tower, it says that it's written by Frank Belknap Long, which, according to my sources, the internet, it is actually Frank Belknap Long.
Yeah.
Weird Tales author, friend of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's so interesting because this is probably obvious to you guys, but I was shocked to see. I'm so used to, through all my classes and everything, I was very much used to women taking on men's names in order to sell more books in an industry that really wasn't that worked against them. It's interesting to see a genre where so many men have taken on female names in order to sell more books. And it was interesting to me. And probably one of my favorite parts of this entire book is that he dedicated the book from himself to himself. And he said, "To the untiring help and teachings of my husband, Frank Belknap Long." And if this is a pseudonym of Frank, I don't know what he's playing at there, trying to give himself a little push up there.
It's amazing.
I know. I love it. It is. It reminds me. I think I read an Alistair MacLean book where he wrote under a pseudonym, and then it had a quote from him on the front of how great the book was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that made me laugh because I turned that first page because I think I asked right when we talked about this, Nick. I was like, "Nick, is this Frank?" And you were like, "Yes, from everything I can tell it is." Mm-hmm. And I went and looked, and I think you're right. It's it said he wrote 8 or 9 Gothics through this period of his life, and yeah, this is him, and that message was from him to him.
It can be confusing though. I was looking up reviews of this before we got started, and there's people who weren't sure. They were like, is this Frank Belknap Long? Is it really his wife? Because if you look back at Dorothy Daniels, like the last episode we did, she was also married to a pulp. She was married to a pulp author, Norman Daniels, but she actually wrote her own books. So I can see how it would be like confusing if you know something like that exists, and then you run across this and you're like, is this the same case where his wife was writing it? But I think in this certain case, yeah, it was Frank Belknap Long.
He has a pretty specific writing style that I'm going to jump into in a bit, but yeah, I think this is Frank. I really do.
Yeah, 100%. I read that werewolf book he did. I don't remember what it's called right now, but it's exactly the same.
Yeah,
it's 100% Frank Belknap Long.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys know about Frank Belknap Long? I just know he was part of Lovecraft Circle with Robert Bloch and Clark Ashton Smith and so forth. But my only experience with the author was his 1970 book Monster from Out of Time, which was published by Popular Library. And I think a lot of people get that book because it has Frank Frazetta's cover art, which is amazing on that book. But that was my only experience with the author, and that book was lousy. It was really bad. And I didn't like it. And that was published in 1970. And I think this book we're talking about today is 1969, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, what can you guys tell me about this author?
Well, yeah, I know, like you said, he wrote for Weird Tales, and he was like close friends with H.P. Lovecraft. Oh. And I thought that was really interesting after I read that the werewolf book. It's one of the Frankenstein horror series books, which he wrote later on. He wrote it towards the end of the 80s, I think. And he lived to be like 90-some years old. So he's around for a long time and is still working. So, yeah, so he was close friends with Lovecraft, and which really surprised me because Lovecraft was a real stickler when it come to writing. Yeah. Like he didn't have patience for novices and this stuff. I don't know. The 2 books that I've read so far by him have been, I don't know. I guess I was kind of surprised because it's pretty basic.
Yeah, so I came across him because of science fiction. He wrote a lot of science fiction, and he's hit and miss. But I think that this is an interesting time for not 69, but way back H.P. Lovecraft and all that, where people were writing and trying to make a living doing it, which means people were putting out all kinds of stuff as quickly as they could. So a lot of these writers, I think you'll find are real hit and miss back in the day, because they were trying to create so much content in order to make enough money to live. So I think he falls under that for me. That's what I've always thought of for him is this going to be a good Frank Belknap Long, or is this going to be just, something he whipped off so that he could get his paycheck for the week? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is much later than that, of course.
That's a good point. And to be fair, I haven't read any of the Weird Tales stuff.
No. I don't think you got me a Frank Belknap Long book, Nick, that I haven't cracked yet. That looks like it's that Weird Tales era.
Yeah. One of the science fiction ones.
Yeah. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it makes me very curious. I know the next thing I read by him, I'm definitely just going to go right back to the beginning and see what it is. And I do know that he had a hard time with money, like in the middle of his life and towards the end, that he was not doing well. So yeah, maybe he was just doing as much as possible, as fast as possible. It was too rough on him. I'm sorry, Frankie. All right, so yeah, this book, To the Dark Tower, was published by Lancer in 1969. This is his cover art. We'll put it up on screen. The cover art is by Lou Marchetti. Do you guys know Lou? Oh, doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, yeah, I know that name.
That house back there reminds me of the
Norman Bates?
The guy that mystery, the theater guy. This is killing me. Alfred Hitchcock. Cut that. Alfred Hitchcock. Have you seen the Alfred Hitchcock Presents horror novels?
For anyone who can't see, for anyone who can't see, Chris just did the formation of a belly.
Yes,
like,
Alfred,
the guy.
The Alfred Hitchcock novels. If you look at that house back there, it looks like the exact same artist.
Yeah, the Alfred Hitchcock Presents, like 13 Tales of Terror and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm not going to get up, but yeah, if you put one on the screen, there's one where he is the house, where the house becomes his face, and it looks like this artist. Sorry,
Nick, is it Magnum or Lancer? Mine's Magnum.
Mine's Lancer.
Mine's Lancer.
Oh, really? Yeah, mine's Magnum. Isn't that crazy?
Well, isn't Magnum a part of Lancer? The Magnum Easy Eye?
Magnum was Prestige. Yeah, mine says Prestige Books, which is a Magnum.
What year did yours come out?
This is 1969.
Yeah, all mine has the copyright, so maybe it's incorrect.
Yeah, mine's
it says Lancer.
Yeah, mine at the very top, Magnum. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy because it's the exact same cover. They just replaced the Lancer with a Magnum on yours. I have no idea. Maybe different country.
Does yours say never before published on the bottom?
It does.
Okay. So wait a minute. So Lancer says it's never before published and Magnum says it's never before published.
No. I have the Lancer and does not say that. It says complete and unabridged.
But look, mine does, Nick. The one you sent me, the Lancer you sent me says never before. I sent
you the first edition and I kept the second.
Yeah, but look, mine's coming apart. I'm going to have to put some noti on that and stick it back together.
It doesn't matter. It's the content.
That's hilarious.
That's right. It's the content. We already said that.
So the reason we picked this particular book was someone left a comment on my the other Frank Belknap video that I did that said that this book supposedly has cosmic horror in it, like that it flirts with cosmic horror, like Lovecraftian stuff. Now they didn't say that they had read the book and said that it did. They just said supposedly. I believe that there are. So this was more horror than I expected. I will say that. And again, I'm coming from like Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights and Jane Austen and on through Carmilla and all of that. This was, there was romance in it, but this was more horror than I truly expected. From what you guys have talked about. Mm-hmm. This seemed like it had some real stuff going on, but I didn't see any cosmic horror. That I saw some culty stuff, but not cosmic horror. All right, well let's get to it. So the book starts with a prologue chapter. It's from the perspective of a young boy with a big head. He's got round eyes. And his mouth is too far wide, so I don't know why. It's just a freakish little boy, and he stumbles upon a ceremony while he's out in the woods, and it looks like there is a coven of witches surrounding like a black kettle. So I, right off, not a good start for me because it was so cartoonish. I mean, he might as well just had them wearing the black hats and green face and warts on their noses, Oh, the witches. Yeah. Okay. Like it's surrounded around the black kettle. Yeah, so Willie in the pot. Willie at the beginning of this, and it took me a minute to figure this out because I'll be honest, I read this first chapter and I was like, I'm calling it quits. I did. I really disliked this first chapter. Willie is actually a grown man, and he is mentally handicapped. And Frank decided to write this from the stream of consciousness perspective of this person, and he might have done a good job. I have no idea. Stream of consciousness is not an easy writing style, but I'll tell you what, I had to reread this like 2 times to figure out what these connections were to this, to that. And that's
that's kind of what I was talking about with being able to tell that this is probably Frank. Frank has a writing style that, for me, he likes to tease what's happening before he tells me what's happening, and it really shuts me down, because I said this in a video, or maybe it was with Bart. I like when you read prose and the prose disappears and you see the moving images in your head, right? That's what I look for. And that doesn't mean that we can't have purple prose. I like purple prose. Sometimes that makes the visions in your head even better. But this, I had to pay so much attention line by line. I had to stop and reread it. I was like, okay, now what are we talking about? And I realized, okay, he's very artistically trying to put the reader in the head of a person that is mentally handicapped. And while I applaud the effort, I couldn't. I mean, I was so worried after this first chapter. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be absolutely terrible. Yeah, the witches, it's weird because I felt like everything was cartoonized, because that's what Frank assumed the head of or the consciousness of a person that was mentally handicapped would be like, was how I took it.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say that he's mentally handicapped.
It does later.
Yeah, but until later. Because at the beginning, it's described as a young boy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just, that's kind of where I went. And then later when they're like, oh my God, we found this dead body and they described this man, I was like, okay, but that's kind of what I figured as I was reading. But you're right. There's no direct hint. He just throws you into the chaos that is this person's mind. And I was like, okay, this is a lot of work. This really is a lot of work for a prologue.
So the boy realizes that he's seen something that he shouldn't have seen, and he runs through the woods, the first of many people running through the woods. So we don't know if he's being followed or not, or what's going on, like you say, because it's very like, what the hell is happening? And he comes upon a house. The woods open up, there's a house, and he's like, oh, there's my doctor's house, and he's a good guy. I'm gonna go tell him. Before he gets to the front door, a shadowy figure drops from a tree.
Yeah, kind of scary. Yeah,
right. And the shadow figure runs up to the porch, leaves something on the porch, and rings the doorbell and runs back away. Runs back to the tree.
Not so scary.
Very, very comical, very cartoonish. And the doctor goes to the door. There's no one there. He looks down. There's the item. He picks it up, looks at it, gets angry, throws it, and it lands next to the little boy. I still consider him the little boy, even though I know he's an adult. So it lands next to him. My question to you guys is, what did you think the item was?
I thought, well, there's two things. So I thought that he had left a bag of poop on the doorstep.
He forgot to light it.
Yeah, he just didn't light it, and then he picks it up and goes, ooh, and throws it. What was so horrendous in this writing of this prologue, to me, it was horrendous. I read this to my wife, and she was saying, well, it sounds fine to me, but the doctor throws this thing out into the lawn, and it lands with such heavy force that it snaps a dry twig up, and it flies up and hits Willie right in the face. And I'm thinking, this thing, is it a cinder block? Like, how hard did you throw this thing out in the yard for this thing to fly up and hit Willie? But it's just the first of many signs from the author that he's over descriptive. In that same scene, the doctor turns around and slams the door so loud that it sounded like a pistol shot in the night. I'm like, it just isn't necessary. But going back to your point, though, or your question, I thought it was a bag of poop that he threw. That's
you really did? You really thought it was poop?
Yeah.
Well, once he threw it, didn't Willie pick it up and look at it?
No,
I think we did a description of it.
The guy
down.
He sees it, and then he sees the guy drop down from the tree again, and he grabs the doll and he starts running.
I thought it was a voodoo doll.
Yeah, he looks at the doll first. He looks down and sees the doll because this is going to go back to what Chris is saying about the stream of consciousness. From Willie's perspective, Willie looks down at the doll, and there's a line in there where Willie's thinking, well, I know it can't be alive, or it must not be alive because it's not moving. And you're thinking, well, why would he think that a doll is alive? Does he think it's like a baby or something? But from Willie's perspective, because Willie's thought is a little bit different than ours, his thoughts, he's looking at this little doll and thinking that it could be animate, this thing could actually move, which goes back to exactly what you were saying, Chris, with his streams of consciousness. Like, it's hard to, as the reader, it's hard to put your mind in Willie's mind and realize that that's what the author wants you to do. So when Willie looks down, he sees this doll with pins in it. I think it says like 2 in the chest, 2 in the throat. But he looks at the face and he recognizes the face of the doll as being a beautiful woman that he saw somewhere else
with the doctor.
With the doctor,
with the doctor, and then he picks up the doll and starts running with it. But you're like, from Willie's perspective, it's like, why would he think that this thing could be alive? It's just a dumb doll,
right?
But from Willie's mind, it could be alive. Like, that's what kind of threw me off. It's like, what's going on? Like you said, Chris, I had to read that like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
I thought he was a 6-year-old kid. That's what I thought.
Yeah. I did at first. There was some line though that clued me on, and I'm not able to pull it out now, but there was some line that clued me. So I about 4 pages in was like, oh, I see. And the murder was pretty intense. I thought he got stabbed in the back. But it turns out it was like a dart or something. But that I was shocked when like straight up he was murdered, because like I said, I didn't expect this level of violence. When I think of Gothic romances, and again, I'm a newbie, I don't think of murder after murder, cults murdering people, right? Like, and there's a couple in here. So I was pretty shocked. And I think that starting with that chaos might have been smart of him, because once I got to past that prelude, I was like, oh, thank God, because then it started to kind of read like a normal story that I could just lay back and have the world overtake me. But every once in a while, like, it took me a while to suss out that this woman had gone to Spain, I think, and gone into a cave and was attacked by a presence. Like, the way he presents this stuff, you're just like, what? and then you have to go backwards, and it's a lot of work to just, for something he could have just told us and would have been very enjoyable, because I think the plot of this was really fun. I had fun with this plot. So I think that the one thing holding this back is his writing style. I really do.
Yeah, it beats around the bush.
At the beginning of that thing that he sees fall out of the branches or the trees, like, again, from his perspective, he thinks it's a big toad.
Yeah,
like some gigantic toad just fell out of the sky. Yeah, but from his perspective, that's just the way he thinks.
Right.
But but anyway, he picks up the doll and starts running off, and then Nick, something happens to him. I guess he just feels something in his back. He said, "Oh, it feels like a rock," and then it's like he passes out. It doesn't. He doesn't say that they killed him right just then.
Oh, you're right. He just
later on.
There's like explosions in his vision or head. Yeah, and then he passes out. Yeah, I swore he got stabbed because of he felt something in his back. I was like, oh my God, somebody snuck up and stabbed him. But it was scary. But I mean, it's weird, because if he could have somehow let us know what he was doing. I found asking myself, thinking that to myself a lot, like, if he could just somehow tell us what he's doing, then we could be along for the ride and enjoy it. But he's just doing things without telling us what he's doing. So we have to figure it out and then go backwards with that information and try to get it again. And this is a thin read, and it's got huge type. Yeah, so it's not a long read, but I had to reread sections 2 or 3 times so that I felt like I really knew what was going on.
I will say that that's usually the case with prologues, is that you are just kind of thrown stuff.
Sure. That's true. You're right. Yeah.
So
that was
yeah,
a crazy throw.
yeah, it was all over the place.
and I'll be honest with you, I was totally in right now. I was totally into it. Like, even though it was confusing to me, I was like, okay, I'm into this. Like, this is I like this.
So the second chapter, we meet our protagonist, the archaeologist Joan Lambert. She's driving to Glen Oaks, Kentucky, to visit her fellow archaeologist / museum manager boss / protective boyfriend, Dr. Wilfred Allen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this isn't a week-long lover getaway. She's going there for a purpose. He's invited some other people along because Joan has been having issues. The other people, I love how it's described who the other people are. It says it's an internationally renowned psychiatrist, a psychical research scholar, which is a ghost hunter back in 1969. There's an anthropologist whose focus of study was East African tribal shaman incantations. And then there's some like Doogie Howser type young psychiatrist. And you're like, well, that's such a strange grouping of people because it describes who the people are going to be there before it says what her issue even is.
Yes.
Like you say, Chris, he tells you before he tells you.
Yeah.
It's very distracting. So you're like, who, why are these people there? So apparently 16 months prior to this little getaway here, Joan was on an archaeological expedition in the Pyrenees mountain range.
Yeah, well done.
Which is at the border of France and Spain. And while she was exploring a cave, she is attacked. And this is where it gets like, what's going on? It's like, it's described as something organic, right? Like it's a real thing.
I wonder if this is what they were referring to as the cosmic horror.
I think it is.
I think you're right.
And then it's like, but it also connected to her in a mental capacity.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, well, it's this supernatural thing.
And it happened in the dark. She could see nothing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And this presence like attached to her. And it comes out constantly. And one of the things that I liked, this is the part where I was really actually kind of getting involved after I realized that what was going on, because she went there to study the concept of a witch cult that like was from way, way, way back, like prehistory witch cult, which was simultaneously interesting to me, but also slightly laughable to think of like cave paintings with witches with pointy hats on broomsticks, like very traditional witch imagery all the way back in time that she's studying here.
Yeah. I did a little research here, and surprisingly, Frank Belknap Long was correct.
No way.
There's a rich history of witchcraft and Satanism in the Pyrenees Mountains.
Okay.
And actually the area is referred to as Land of the Goat.
Okay. But that has to be after Christianity. Because the concept of witchcraft didn't exist. Well, I guess it would be. It's weird. We're looking at it through a lens, because Satanism definitely not. Satan would have to exist after Christianity too, but maybe heathen worship, I guess.
Just something that's evil. And I think that
how interesting.
There is. When I'm in the research, they said that the witches weren't necessarily human beings practicing witchcraft, but it could possibly be a supernatural entity. So this character, this antagonist in this that she saw, was actually from folklore.
Wow. So he's responding to something that was being studied at the time, it sounds like, in actuality. How interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So
he actually did research.
Yeah. Him and me, Eric. Him and me. Give me credit.
Seriously. I wouldn't even have thought to look it up. I just went, that's ridiculous, and moved on.
I I found this book that was just published in 2024 about this exact thing. It's called Land of the Goat, Witchcraft in the Pyrenees by Julia Carreras Torret, who actually lives in the area. Yeah, it looks really, really cool. Beautiful, beautiful drawings on it. So I found the description of the monster when she first runs into it. So it says, then the shape itself took on a form and substance in the depths of her mind, impinging on her inner vision as a tall, cloaked figure with burning eyes hovering on the rim of her consciousness. It was a shadowy figure, neither entirely beast nor man, a hawk-faced figure with dangling, brightly gleaming talons.
Cool.
So when she first runs into it in the caves, that's what she sees or perceives, I guess, because it's in her mind. Like you said, it's all dark.
You can sense that weird Tales writing in that, just in that little bit that you did there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds like it could be Algernon Blackwood. It sounds like it could be a lot of those early Weird Tales guys. So yeah, I think that it's weird. Sometimes his stuff works, but it's strange because in that case, a little bit of vague writing is called for. Like right away, I'm thinking of an Egyptian god. I can't think of which one. Which Egyptian god has the hawk face? Is it Thoth? I don't know. But anyway, that kind of writing can be serviced by vagueness. But just telling us the story that she went to this mountain range and was studying, and this thing attached herself. He has her being terrified by this creature before we know what the creature is. And that, I think, does a disservice to the writing, because if you just constantly throw your writers your readers into confusion, then they're not going to have a good time. There are times for it and there are times aren't for it. I got to stop harping on this. I'm so sorry, guys. Because I actually really did enjoy reading this book. I liked it, but yes, I have some complaints about his writing style.
Dude, sometimes you don't realize that how you really felt about something until you started talking about it.
Right.
Like you'd be like, man, I really enjoyed this book, and then you start to review it or whatever in our case, and you're like, you know what? There's a lot of holes here. There's a lot of, but you know what? It might not necessarily matter if you enjoyed it. That's really all that matters.
I after that prologue, and then I'll be honest, I was still confused while she was driving there in the car, and then I started to get into it. Yeah, I really enjoyed most of this book.
I'm still there. I'm still with you. I'm still enjoying it. We got about 2 more chapters of enjoyability. And then it just hits a brick wall.
Okay.
So she's driving to Kentucky, and when you know it, that monster just appears. The creature appears right there in the middle of the road. She swerves, she crashes, gasoline all over the floor, all over the road.
The forest floor.
She crawls out. She crawls up and she's like, oh my God, I survived. And she's like, oh crap, that thing is still out here with me in the middle of nowhere. She looks over and she sees it standing there, a big shadowy figure in a robe. And it's got its face it says a skull-like face, not a hawk face anymore. It's skull. And she's like, and I couldn't see his hands because of the robe, but I assure you those talons were underneath there.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so I love this part is like my favorite, because she's so terrified that she's like, well, I can either run or I can just light a match and light this gasoline on fire. Call it a day.
Done.
Like those are 2 options. And she's like, well, I guess I'll run.
Yeah, that was a weird choice to even have. Like catching it on fire. I didn't understand. Like she's just going to burn the whole forest down? Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he was trying to say that she was at her wit's end, but it was in a pretty extreme way to show us that she was at her wit's end.
She's dramatic, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So she starts running through the very same woods that we're going to keep coming back to. And this thing is it's coming at her. This thing is coming towards her. This is a real entity. This is not in her mind. This is a physical entity coming towards her, chasing her as she runs through the woods until she runs into a man in a hunting gear who's the sheriff. She passes out.
Lucky.
And then she wakes up in her boyfriend's house, Dr. Wilfred Allen. Before we get there, though, there's one chapter that's just kind of inserted in there awkwardly.
Absolutely.
That just redoes the first chapter over again with some different characters. The young honeymooning couple run out of gas in the middle of nowhere, same area. They see a man in the woods, so they start walking into the very same woods. Three chapters in a row. You got characters walking through these same woods. They come upon a ceremony. They see two robed figures and a naked lady and a dead lady. They throw the dead lady in the grave. The people are like, run back to their car. They meet another couple, whatever. And then 20 minutes later, both cars are at the bottom of a ravine. So there's nefarious things going on in this city.
I like this chapter. I know it definitely... It's weird because if you pulled it out, there would be no problem. So it's shoehorned in there. But for me, this was the chapter that made this cult very, very, very real. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of impressed with this because, again, I wasn't expecting. I always expect that the horror in these kind of novels, and this might be an 1800s thing, is going to all be a misunderstanding. Because it often is in the older ones. But this is no misunderstanding. The minute that there was a body that was sacrificed on the ground, I was like, okay, this is a real cult we're dealing with. And that really upped the tension for me, for this one. Just, I think it made the bad guys really bad. Mm-hmm. Because at first I was like, is this something she brought with her back from the Pyrenees, or is there a cult here? Like, what's happening? And now we've got a cult. And, you read the beginning or the little tagline here: ancient evil drives Joan Lambert across the ocean to a land ruled by witches. And I don't know which across the ocean she's going. Like, is that the Pyrenees they're discussing or this? But yeah, after this chapter, I was like, okay, this is a real cult. This town is a real cult town. So I kind of liked that chapter.
I was trying to look it up. There's the scene where they're walking through the woods and they come up on this ceremony, and then there's the sacrifice happening. It's a Robert E. Howard Conan story. Maybe you guys know which one I'm talking about. Where it may be across the Black River or something like that, but it's a Robert E. Howard scene where
from Conan.
From Conan, where these villagers are walking through the woods. They come up on a scene where they've got a body on the ground or on a stone, and the body, they're doing a spell, and the body turns into a snake, from human to snake.
Oh no, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I wish I could find it, but
I haven't read them all yet.
It's in one of the Lancer short story, but I was like, okay, that's Robert E. Howard's scene. He just basically took Robert E. Howard's scene and made it, which kind of makes him think, well, this is why it may have been like shoehorned in. He's like, okay, I really like that Robert E. Howard scene. Let me figure out some way to get this in the book. And it's just kind of like out of nowhere. So I don't know, but I just wanted to add that. If I find the name of the story, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'm looking now.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised. It's interesting because I've been reading a lot of that sword and sorcery stuff, that early Weird Tales stuff, and it is interesting how much they played off of each other. Like Robert E. Howard's Tower of the Elephant, I don't think would exist without H.P. Lovecraft, because it's a barbarian story that suddenly feels like a Lovecraft cosmic horror story. It jumps. It's really interesting. And then you got C.L. Moore. I know, Nick, you're a big C.L. Moore fan. She also is, in Jarell of Jory, is like, this is a barbarian's tale, but then it suddenly turns into these cosmic horror landscapes, and I think they were all pulling off each other. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's a Robert E. Howard pastiche that he took for this. Yeah. But again, it's not what I expected in a Gothic novel. That's for sure. And that kid getting stabbed in the back, which is not what happened, also was not what I expected. So I liked. And again, I'm coming at this very new. You guys have read so many more of these. I'm coming at this new, but the horror elements in this were shockingly good and often more than I expected.
Yeah, this stuff usually doesn't happen in the Gothics that we talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd duck. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much like the excitement of the story. So we got Joan waking up in the house of Dr. Wilfred Allen, and this brutal chapter where she just retells us what we've just read.
Yeah.
Like she's just literally telling the doctor and Dr. Allen what happened to her. Like we just read that. We do not need to hear this again.
Nothing like show, don't tell, and then tell, don't show right afterwards of the same scene.
that was brutal.
Strange exposition.
Yeah, and this is where it just kind of all this is where it crumbles for me, and I was like, oh man, this is becoming this is not good.
It's weird. The only complaint I had about this point is Gothic romance. I just got to say, as I like romance, I enjoy reading romance. There was no romance in this at all. Like she loves her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's very protective of her. That's it. That's all the romance that happens in this book at all. This isn't, falling in love with Mr. Rochester. This is they're together before the book starts. And they just really dig each other, and that's so yeah. I think the horror was amped up in this, and the romance was way down because I never felt anything really romantic in this. I don't know if you guys felt differently.
No, and that's something that we do find in these books is there really isn't that much romance.
Oh, really? That's normal. Oh, okay. I figured there would be half romance, that they'd be falling in love while the story was going on.
No, I think the romance is just that he cares for her.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get any even tepid lovemaking. There's none of that.
Right. But not even the process of falling in love or anything, huh?
Mm-mm.
Huh.
Sometimes you do get a byproduct of the situation that the main character is in. She'll realize that, okay, wait a minute, this my new husband is actually a really deceitful guy, and the person who's showing this to me is like the husband's cousin, who's the good guy, and the byproduct is she falls in love with the cousin or the guy who runs the mansion, runs the farm. That's the romantic chemistry that develops in some of these books.
Have you guys ever read Rebecca?
No, no, but I want to.
That's a real. I think you guys might really enjoy that book. Just you were saying the husband turns out bad, and yeah, that sounds like Rebecca. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's this whole thing in the middle here where they're afraid to talk to the cops, and then it does go on. That's for absolute sure. That was kind of my least favorite part.
We get a little taste of the cult once again, where later that night she hears a noise outside of her window, and she looks out, and in his yard, in the doctor's yard, is 12 naked men and women. They're circling around a giant figure that looks like a frog that's been impaled, something like a frog on a stick, and they're circling around it. And then they start an orgy. They just start going at it. And my favorite part here, she's like, if this were a regular orgy, I would be okay with it.
Hey,
but I know that there's nefarious purposes. I know there's nefarious purposes going on here. So that's not okay.
It was so free love.
It was
free
so
love.
hilarious.
It was. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't think I've brought this up yet, but I feel like this crosses into folk horror territory. I don't know if you guys have seen The Wicker Man. Have you seen The Wicker Man?
Mm-hmm.
There are moments in that movie that feel very much like this moment in the book, where he's just looking out the window and there's like naked people dancing around a fire, and he's like, what's going on over there? Or people are just like randomly, making love on graves. And yeah, it kind of felt like that. And I actually was kind of on board. I was like, yeah, let's just kind of push this over into folk horror territory. It could really work that she's come here to fix herself, but this cult is so ingrained into the living of this area that she's just going to become, this culty sacrifice.
Yeah. Speaking of the Wicker Man, then after the sheriff encounter where he's like kind of insinuating that Joan might have something to do with this, and he also lets them know that the boy from the beginning has been murdered.
Oh, Willie.
So, yeah, just like the Wicker Man. So she's surrounded by these people, the psychiatrists and all that, and they come at her like kind of like in a way like the town people from the Wicker Man, where there seems to be something going on.
Yeah, Dr. Allen is out talking to the cop, and they're all like, yeah.
And there we meet Dr. Allen's sister.
Yeah.
And she takes the lead and starts talking to Joan.
I feel like her name is Susan, but that can't be right.
She goes, hi, I'm Dr. Allen's sister. And she's like, what? He never told me that he had a sister.
Half-sister, yeah.
Yeah, half-sister. And the sister's like, oh, we're very close. By the way, I just did some time in the pen.
Yeah.
I just did some hard time for murder, and I'm just out.
And it wasn't me.
I'm
innocent.
It wasn't. Yeah, I'm innocent.
Was it Helen Traven? I think
Helen
Traven. Yeah.
So now we got this innocent convicted murderer, and these weird psychiatrists, and this town that there is obviously a witchcraft cult going on.
Yeah.
So the idea is cool.
I agree.
Right? Yeah. But man, does he just beat around the bush.
Yeah.
He's like, here's some cool stuff, and then he just walks around it like 5 feet.
And I wonder if it's because he's trying to write in the Gothic romance genre. I wonder if he's like, I can't go too hard here, because that's not what people are expecting from a Gothic romance novel. I don't know, because his old Weird Tales, he's not afraid of going dark. So I wonder if it's the genre. I have no idea.
I think here what we have here is a couple things. So I want you to look at 1969. So we're talking about the era of cults. You have the Manson cults probably all over TV. And this time period also, think about the big bestseller in 1967.
Rosemary's Baby.
Bingo.
Heck yeah.
So 1967 created the Satanic Panic. You had Rosemary's Baby, and then you started having those, like you mentioned, like the cult folky satanic movies, like you had Crowhaven Farm, which was on TV, The Secret of Harvest Home, or I think it was just called Harvest Home.
Yeah, Thomas Tryon. We're going to be reading that soon for my channel.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to read that too. And then you have movies like Race the Devil, Devil's Reign. So this was all like the Satanic Panic stuff. But I think he wrote a Satanic Panic novel, and then Lancer, at the height of Gothic paperbacks selling in the mid 1960s and going forward, I think they said, well, let's make it a Gothic romance novel, because these weird tales types of stories, they don't sell anymore.
Right.
And they were like, let's turn it into that. But it's odd that they wanted to do it that way, considering what the market was desiring at that point. They wanted Satanic Panic, but Lancer, and this is one of the reasons probably why they went out of business, or Magnum for that matter, is because they made poor decisions when it came to marketing books and things like that. So I think this was another poor decision. I don't think he wrote a Gothic romance novel. I think he wrote a Weird Tales type of cult book, and then they just turned it into that, because even To the Dark Tower has nothing to do with the story.
Right. Yeah. I think you're onto something. I really do. I think that's probably pretty accurate. And it's weird because, well, we'll talk about this when we get to the end. But yeah, I think that I agree with you, Nick. He makes some really weird choices as to how to frame this and show this. But I feel like the genre was constricting him a little bit. I really do.
And also on that other thing we were talking about with the cult having that ceremony in the woods and the people doing the sacrifice. I looked it up. It's Robert E. Howard's Wolves Across the Border. But get this, though. It went unpublished until 1967.
Oh.
So Long could have picked this up at the supermarket or something in the short story collection, which was coming out of the Usurper from 67, which was Lancer. He may have picked that paperback up in 67, liked that particular story, and said, well, let me carve out that ceremony part and let's make a whole freaking book about it. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Lancer pushed it on him.
Could be.
Yeah.
Hey, Conan's popular, man. Why don't you throw some of that in there?
Yeah.
Situation where Long probably loved Robert E. Howard's writing back in the day, and then this story was completely unpublished until Glenn Lord found it in 65, and they published it in 67. So it doesn't surprise me that Long would have sought out that paperback. So,
sure,
I want to read this. This is an unpublished Robert E. Howard story. I need to read it.
Yep.
And but I'm connecting too many dots, but I think there's somewhere in there probably is the devil in the details.
Well, I love how you've put it in the time. I think that's really truly brilliant, because I know Ira Levin with Rosemary's Baby changed the landscape, and then when you add Harvest Home and Exorcist, but this is before those two. This is, and I think it's before the other as well. And all of these were considered. I mean, this is what started the huge, the reason that we have paperbacks from hell all comes down to those, those three: Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, and the other. And I like the idea that this is right in between. And I feel like if he would have just written this story as a horror novel, this might be something we mention alongside those, but it isn't. Yeah, it isn't, because I think of it trying to smush into this genre.
Wow, that's interesting. And Nick, this may be why you and I had panned it so much, is because we were looking at it from a Gothic. This isn't Gothic romance. This isn't Gothic suspense.
I was shocked.
I didn't think it. Like Chris said, man, the writing. It was the writing that
the writing.
It was exactly like the Frankenstein horror book that I read. That it just doesn't.
Oh, the writing is abysmal, and other than these first few chapters that we've covered, we go in. I think at one point there is a 40-page scene set in one room, where the police officer, the sheriff, is talking to Joan. It's almost 40 pages long, and they don't leave the room.
It is.
And the same kind of thing happened in Monster from Out of Time, where you have these. It's the old. We're going back in time. It's like these modern people get into a storm or something, and they go back in time to prehistoric ages. But they sit in a tent for half the book and talk about where they are and what would happen if they leave the tent.
Have you guys read I, Robot?
I have not.
Oh my gosh! So I was super excited. I was like, Isaac Asimov, and Isaac Asimov's written some great stuff, but so much of it is scientists standing in a room talking to each other that it's just it's crazy. So I think that was a big thing back in the day, but that long, that was the worst scene of the whole book. That 40 pages, where they're like, I mean, you could cut that and it would still be a fine story, because all we need is Helen to introduce herself and say, "Hey, they just almost got me for murder, but it wasn't me," right? Like, that's the only information we need from that scene at all.
Yeah, it's. And Nick, you touched on something earlier, like how they kind of shoehorned that one scene in with those travelers getting killed off. It's like, the Friday the 13th movies where they just kind of throw in a kill scene. And we'll throw in another kill scene real quick. But think about if you had Friday the 13th, but then you just put the victim and the sheriff in a room and literally talked about Jason Voorhees for 1 hour.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's a terrible movie. And that's what this book was. It was just one long narrative of dialogue, and I hated it so much.
My brother, who's more of a film critic than I am, says there's always a scene in horror movies where they have to, he calls it the microfiche scene, because they always go to the library and find old newspapers to figure it out. And I think that the the scene in this, they used to like to make microfiche scenes way too long, and yeah, it does go on. But I'm interested, Nick. Is this the chapter that you hit a brick wall? Them sitting there talking?
No, it's when she woke up at his house.
Oh, okay.
Oh, way back.
And then they just start reiterating everything that's happened.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much the rest of the book. They just keep talking about what is happening.
Yeah, this could have been.
Nothing is happening. They're just talking about.
And that's the worst. That's the worst in terms of craft, is repeating something that either the viewer has already seen on screen or read, and you're rehashing that again for no reason.
What it makes me think, connecting more to yours, is this the idea of this being a satanic panic. It might have been a very short story, and Lancer was like, just make it a Gothic. And so he's like, oh, Gothics are just people in houses standing around talking. Got it. I'll just repeat what just happened.
Yeah, it could be. One of the things interesting about Joan is you want to think of her as like this dynamic character, and like you really want to feel for her. But there's one scene where she's talking to herself, I think, and she says something like, well, I hope that we have enough time to make love. And they're like, well, what is that? Like your whole reason of being there is just you want to make love to this guy, and then you're failing to ignore how much he cares for you by offering you all these professional services for free to analyze your mind and figure out what happened to you. But she's just like, well, are we going to have time to make love?
I kind of connected that to Frank trying to write a woman.
Yes.
What do women think about? Well, making love, of course. That's what they want to do.
Sex. It's got to be sex, because that's what men think about all the time, right?
Got to put some romance in there.
Gothic romance. That's romance is the second word.
They're like, Frank, is there romance in this Gothic? He's like, check.
She wants to, yeah.
She wants it. Dude. She wants it.
Yeah, but getting through that 40 pages, I skipped most of it. I read like every other page just to see if it was progressing any further.
To do that? Oh,
I did it. I had to. I kept texting Nick. I was like, I hate everything. I hate everything. I hate everything. I hate this book. I hate this. I hate this so much. But I finally got through it, and then you get towards the finale, and it gets a little bit better.
I agree. I liked the end.
Yeah, so she's in bed one night, and then all these people charging in her bed, but there's a light in her face, so she can't see who it is. Yeah. And they're like, we're going to hypnotize you. And she's like, oh, it's those people from downstairs.
This must be the process that my boyfriend arranged for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So she gets hypnotized. That everything that she has learned about witchcraft and black magic, and it's all true, and that Wilfred, Dr. Allen, is in danger, and she needs to help him. So they're putting these ideas in her head while she's hypnotized. So in the middle of the night, she wakes up and she goes out to the woods, and there's more naked people dancing. There's pan flutes playing.
Of course, the heathens.
Yeah, we're back to the black kettle at the beginning. It's just so cartoonish. There's sacrificed animals on stakes. There's the hooded guys. And they capture her and they tie her to a post. So now she's in with the cult. And then while she's tied to the cult, two of the cultists just sit down and they start having a conversation about the Joan of Arc. Right. And they're like, oh, she's like Joan of Arc. And I don't know. It was really weird because they're like having this historical discussion on whether Joan of Arc worships Satan, whether she was on the cult side or the other side.
That was so weird because I was like, so is Frank trying to show us that cultists are just regular people? like, because I could see, like, say, people in a church, and they're doing some kind of ceremony, and they're like, okay, I think God would like this way, and other people are like, no, God would like it this way. Like, do Satanists have those same conversations? It was this weird slice of realism because they are supposed to be very cartoony bad guys, but then we get this strange moment of realism in the middle of it. I'm glad you pointed that out. That was a weird moment.
It just poses the question: was Joan of Arc a witch or a saint?
Right.
That's what Frank's trying to get across.
Yeah.
I put out there, get a discussion started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, right when she's about to be killed, the guns fire off, and she's saved. And then there's awesome details.
Oh my God! Yeah.
just getting annihilated. Like
People getting shot.
Yeah.
that was good. That made my day. I was like, okay, this is fun.
I actually thought about you at that part, Nick. I was like, okay, I bet Nick's liking this because it was pretty. It was actually kind of cool and well described, I think.
Yeah,
because they go into a panic. I mean, it's fire coming from the trees. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then we get the Scooby-Doo ending where Wilfred comes in and goes, "It was my sister the whole time."
The person that was almost charged with murder. No way.
Yeah, right.
Who would have thought?
She was trying to kill Helen, so because she wanted to stop her brother from marrying Helen because her brother has lots of money. So she was the next in line to get the inheritance.
Yeah.
So it's all about money.
And this cult had been influencing Dr. Allen for like months before this. The people that he invited to help Helen, none of them were who they said they were. He thought he was dealing with them, but they cult members replaced each one of these people, and they'd been hypnotizing. And this era was so obsessed with hypnotism. Like all the analog science fiction magazines you buy and everything from that era will have like learn how to hypnotize people and stuff in the back of the books, these ads. Like it was kind of popular at the time, this idea that hypnosis could give you control over people. But yeah, the whole thing was planned by Helen and her cult to try and get Joan out of the way so that Helen could get this money.
I've got this thing to read. I actually, I can't remember. I recorded myself reading this part to you, Nick, and I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but it's so stupid. It's just, I hate to say stupid, but this is stupid. This is Dr. Allen explaining to Joan what a problem is. And he explains it. It's just so stupid. Maybe it's just me, but he says to Joan, anything that darkens the sunlight for us is a problem, Joan. Wilfred Allen said with a look of tender solitude in his eyes. It really is the opposite of clinical. Things that shouldn't happen are problems until they are solved. It's a problem when a child breaks a toy that he thinks is the most wonderful toy in the world. No matter how many other toys he has, better toys, more expensive toys, you've got to find a substitute for that particular toy or the sunlight will be darkened for him. So it becomes a problem. And then Joan says, what are you trying to say, darling? And he says that what may be important to you need not be something that wise men of mature wisdom, regard as at all difficult to solve. It's just a matter of finding the right substitute toy. What the hell is he talking about?
There's that romance. That's that 60s romance right there. It's all right if you're just a child in your brain. We'll find the right toy for you.
Well, there's this other part here where he has the sheriff coming in and talking to her like childlike, like everything's okay now, everything's fine, everything's going to be great. And then she asks about Helen, and he's being so nice and gentle. And then he says to her, he says, I may not be able to find it now, but he says to her, we found her in the woods. And he doesn't leave it at that. He goes, and they shot half of her face off. And like, that doesn't fit the whole context of what you just did by building this nice little thing with her being so
broken toy.
Awful. It's just terrible. Like, it's just terrible. I just can't.
That is bad. You're right. You're right.
So
that is terrible.
I'm glad you read that because that's what a lot of this book is like.
No.
We make it sound cool because we're picking out the cool stuff or maybe something that's silly and fun. But so much of this book is weighted down with this. What's going on? What are you talking about?
Yep.
It's a lot of nonsense just thrown in there. But yeah, I think like what Chris was saying, if you took those 40 pages out and condensed this down to 150 pages, 130 pages, somewhere around there, and maybe it works.
And I will say if you actually burned her at the end and let the cult win, you would have a folk horror classic.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But you'd have to burn her at the end. You'd have to burn her at the end for it to be a true classic.
You know what? I don't even need that. What I need is for the beginning and that whole Spain monster thing to make sense. Because not answered at all.
No.
Yeah.
No,
is it real? Was she really seeing it? Did she really see something?
Maybe he's saying that this cult is the modern equivalent of this cult that's been around since prehistory or something. But
that's what's weird. He connects the cult with the historical aspects.
Right.
Right. I bet he has her see this creature in this cave. Okay, this cult has nothing to do with what is going on in this cave. They don't know. They probably don't even know who she is or that she's over there or what.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So she just sees this stuff. And it's to her, it's real. And then, okay, so yeah, the cult uses that and pretends that, there's really something after her, which maybe there is, maybe there isn't. It's, like I said, never answered.
Right.
So why connect the cult to the Pyrenees witchcraft stuff?
Yeah.
It's just stuff that just it doesn't make sense. None of it.
Yeah, I think this is, yeah. I was just going to say the strange thing is I really enjoyed reading it, except for the bad parts that we've talked about.
Yeah,
his writing style.
Well, Nick, I think the question here is, does it pass the test?
Yeah, I agree.
Gothic Litmus test.
I'm excited to do the Gothic Litmus test.
Also trademarked, Chris. So don't just start throwing that around.
It's all about money. Nick, he's like the Gene Simmons of BookTube. Got to be patented.
That's right.
Copyrighted, trademarked.
He's the Harlan Ellison of BookTube.
I just want that licensing fee. That's all that matters.
Remember the little guys when you get up to the top, man.
That's right.
So the Gothic Litmus test is something me and Eric came up with to determine just how Gothic suspense these books are. So we got the Gothic tropes. So we got the cover art. Let's look at the cover art here.
Only the top of the cover art.
Do we have a woman running from a house?
How particular are we going to be? Technically, no. We have a woman superimposed in front of a house.
Yeah,
but it looks like the wind is blowing her hair to where she's walking away from
Yeah. Yeah, it could be she's closer to the camera running away from the house. And that's the house behind her. Oh, Eric's not buying this.
No, you're giving it a 0, Eric?
I'm saying 0.
I'll tell you what, we're gonna
because that is such a Gothic cover. If it was bigger, why did they just do the top 3 inches of the book?
I guess that candle was really important.
Yeah, I hate it. I love this part.
I think it looks cool like that.
No, I love this part, but I wish it was bigger.
Mine's a little bit bigger than yours.
I don't like all this. It is. Yours is.
Oh, let me see yours, Nick. Yeah, yours is maybe a little bit better. Let me see.
Yeah. I like yours better, Nick. You kept the right one.
Well, now that you mention it, I do see the hair blowing now.
Yeah.
Okay, I changed my mind. Does it have the one light on?
Yes, in the attic.
Yep, one red light.
Yep.
Hey, so, I'll vote yes. Whatever you guys want to do.
I'm going to vote yes too.
I'm going to do it different. I'm going to split it up. So now we each get our vote.
Oh, damn.
And then, so we might get a different one. So everyone's down for woman running from house. Yes.
Yeah. On Nick's cover, especially.
Yes. And then we got one light on. Obviously, there's nothing to argue about there. All right. So then we're on to the themes. Do we have a stranger in a strange land?
Yeah, because she's not from Kentucky, right?
She's been there before.
Oh, she has.
Yeah, but
the kid at the beginning recognized her.
Oh, that's right. She's not unfamiliar with.
But she goes to the Pyrenees. But that's in the past, right?
Yeah,
we're talking the whole book has to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Boo.
Yeah, the setting of the story.
Yeah,
I do a 0 then.
I think that's a 0.
Alrighty. No, all the way across. Is there gaslighting?
It's weird. Helen's gaslighting her. Helen's gaslighting everybody.
You know what's weird is they are gaslighting her in kind of an opposite way, where she feels like she's crazy, and they're like, "You know what? You're right, girl. You are crazy."
Yeah.
So usually gaslighting is the other way around.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'd say yes. Yeah, definitely.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to say that there is gaslighting. Definitely.
Is there a handsome man with questionable motives?
So the whole time I was hoping Dr. Allen was part of the cult. But did Frank ever push that? Did he ever make him seem like he was questionable? And I don't. He did? Oh, thank God. When
the sheriff brings the voodoo doll to him.
Oh, you're right.
And he's like, oh, I found this doll on this body.
Yeah.
And Dr. Allen's like, oh yeah, that showed up on my doorstep the other day. And the sheriff's like, why didn't you tell me? This is crazy.
I agree, Nick. That's good.
Okay.
I'm swayed.
So we do have a handsome man with questionable motives.
I think
I'd say
so.
Yeah.
Is there? This is good because we kind of already talked about it. Is there romance, guys?
Other than her just wanting the booty call, there really isn't.
Well, and him telling her that if she breaks any of her toys, he'll get her a new one.
I like this.
That's pretty romantic.
What do you guys consider romance?
I thought the romance was nil in this. I did not like the romance in this, but does that mean it's not there? I feel like there's so little that I'm going to give this a 0.
It's a 0 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for yes.
All right.
Because he loves her. All the stuff he does for her, that's romantic.
Well, he tells us that, but yeah.
No, he got all those people together. He's like, he's there bringing her in town to take care of her, mental needs.
Yeah,
he's not caring about making love, Chris.
When did they start hypnotizing him? How far back was he under the control of the cult?
Good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it really him or not? Well, he is the one who brings the guns and starts blowing them away.
Yeah, that's true.
How hypnotized was he?
That's pretty romantic. Shooting up a cult for your lover. I like that. Yeah. I'm still giving it a 0.
Okay. And then the mystery. Is there mysterious happenings going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely that.
Yep.
Hints of the supernatural.
Yes. More than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like he really blew it with that. I really wish I knew
the connection.
Yeah. Was it real? Why wouldn't you just put that in there? Make it real, man. Just make it real.
And maybe he's saying it's not because of that weird Joan of Arc conversation. Maybe he was like really throwing it in our face that like these are just people like trying to worship the Satan in the best way they can. They're just flubbing it.
I don't know, man. All that stuff with the creature in the cave and just
that stuff. Yeah, that stuff was good. Yeah, that was really good. And they never answered that.
No.
Which might be a Gothic romance thing. I don't know.
No, they always tell you whether it is or not.
Okay.
Explicitly explain it at the end.
I always want it to be, and it never is.
Yeah, they always explain it. They're like, "Hey, the horse was in the barn at 6:00, and he was on the stairs at 6:15."
I remember you guys were talking about one. It might have been the first one a long time ago, where there was a person walking along the cliff along the beach, and wasn't there like an intricate pulley system or something? I can't remember.
A trap set up by the guy having the affair with her.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I like listening to you guys talk about these. So fun.
That was the first episode.
Was it? Okay, that's what I thought.
So does Joan have a nurse type job?
No, she's a badass archaeologist.
Yeah, she's a professional.
Yeah, she's Indiana Jones, man.
Not only that, we don't mention it, but the reason that she went to Spain in the first place is she was in such a hurry to get into the field that she didn't want to wait the 2 years or whatever Wilfred was telling her to get an official excavation crew to go there. Right. She just went by herself.
Yeah.
So she's real. She's
rookie
a
mistake. That's how you get cursed.
And do we have an isolated setting?
Yeah.
Yeah, backwoods of Kentucky.
Yeah.
All right. So we have 8. You guys have 8 yeses. I have 9.
How many do we need?
That's good. We always blow this deal. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's out of 10.
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
got 8 out of 10, and I put 9 out of 10.
I would say 8 out of 10 is a definite Gothic romance.
80% Gothic.
Yeah.
90% for you.
It sure just doesn't feel like it, though.
And you're 33% of
I feel like I think we hit the nail on the head. It's a horror story that he was then told to make into a Gothic. I really think I wish we could get the history of this story, because I'll bet you we'd be pretty dang close.
What if any of his heirs are alive or anything? What if we could track somebody down to talk to?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, it would.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here then.
Wrap it up.
I want to throw out that you guys should do Rebecca sometime. And if you'd like me to join you, I would love to, because that would be like that is almost like the poster child of the genre, I think.
Yeah. I think I'd like to conquer more of the classics. That one, there's the one that there's a Gothic board out there somewhere, discussion board, and it's like 4. You know what I'm talking about? I have the book over there. It's like 4 coachmen or something like that.
Oh, Mary Stewart. I love Mary Stewart.
That's 4 something coaches.
So
it's
Mary's
the standard for the Gothic romance.
4 coaches waiting. Mary Stewart did a lot of Gothic romance, and then she just did this fantasy series based on Merlin. Best fantasy I've ever read. I talked about it on the channel. I love it. It's my mom gave it to me when I was very young, and was like, check this out. This is about Merlin. And oh my God, I've read it 2 or 3 times and loved it every time. She's a good writer.
So Rebecca, 4 coaches waiting. We definitely need to do. But Nick, we should probably explain real quickly why we didn't do the one that we promised on the last episode. We promised Turn of the Screw.
No Turn of the Screw.
Oh, I've DNF'd that book.
That's why we didn't do it.
Yeah, I and it's weird because like that is classic horror. I should love it, but for some odd reason, Henry James, and it's funny because he also wrote Portrait of a Lady, didn't he? And that one I got about halfway through and just I couldn't pick it up again. There's something about that dude that I just can't. I can't get through.
It's a tough read. I did Turn of the Screw twice somehow, and I just reviewed it recently on the blog. But Nick, he couldn't finish it.
Oh. I was at first I was scared when that weird face was looking through the window. I was like, oh my God! But then I just kind of, it's funny because books move around. Like if I'm really enjoying them, they're right next to my bed. And by the time they get to the back of the toilet, then they're probably not going to get finished.
It's a way of,
hierarchy.
That's right. Where the books is. Can I ask one more question? Just while I have you guys, where does somebody like Victoria Holt fall?
Is she more historical romance?
I don't know. I'm wondering. You guys have never brought her up, and I've got
I've never read it.
I've got probably 6 of her novels here. For me, that is just because I remember my mom was a voracious reader when I was young, and she loved these kind of books. And I remember Victoria Holt was always on the shelf.
Yeah, she's back there as well on my shelf. I think I've got 2 or 3 of hers, and Victoria Holt, and the one that's
Phyllis Whitney.
Yeah. And then there's a Florence, somebody that I can't think of her name. Yeah, there's some major ones, Nick, that we haven't really done, but because I'm just torn on whether they're Gothic or if they're historical romance.
Right, because I know Victoria Holt has written, but her first was something like the 9 Virgins or something that they're standing around this Stonehenge type thing, and I'm like, boy, that looks like straight up a Gothic romance.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I love that you guys are doing this. This is such a underappreciated genre that I've been watching since you started, and I'm so happy that I got to do one with you guys. And thank you, Nick, for sending it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just like, right when I got it in the mail, I was like, "Are we doing this, Nick?" And he's like, "Okay."
So awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been great. I really appreciate you coming on. I'll have to have you on again to talk about one of those 2 books we just talked about.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Up next, we'll make Chris read Men's Adventure.
Oh my goodness,
That's what Chris needs in his life.
We'll see how I do. I don't know. It's interesting. It's not my favorite genre because I'm not a big action fan, but I would try it. You'd have to pick the best one.
Define best.
The one I would like.
Yeah.
A horror men's adventure. That's Snowman. That Snowman's a horror men's adventure.
Is it? Yeah. And Brian sent it to me. So yeah, that one. And it looks pretty short.
Yeah. The Norman Bogner Snowman.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll check
That'd
that
be a
one
good
out.
one.
We can get together and talk about it.
All right. Well, we're going to take off. Eric's got to get out of here. He says, "Shut up, guys. We got to go."
Yeah. Thanks for having me again. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, Eric, because I'm on the Paperback Warrior too.
That's right. Cut that out.
Right, bye, everybody.
Later, guys. Bye-bye.